I was a chief resident at Charity Hospital, and we had a little girl come in about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She got home from one of her, her Catholic private schools. And some guy was waiting there to rape her. And the guy got in and she fought like a fucking animal. She had this guy's DNA everywhere. I mean, she fought. And the way I don't think he ever got to rape her because she fought like a fucking Wolverine. Mm-hmm. But he took a brass lamp and smashed the side of her head, and literally her head was pushed into the opposite side. Ugh. I'm talking about like all the skull and everything. And of course she comes in, and you probably don't know this, but Chantel was my operating room nurse when I was a resident.
Yeah, you mentioned that
And this girl comes up, and I call Chantel and I said, look, open every fucking thing we have. Because, of course, when the EMTs came in and the nurses in the emergency room, they told me the story of this little girl. And I'm like, there's no fucking way she's dying on my dime. And I looked at her. The nurses actually told me, look at her fingernails. She fought. And I said, well, I'm going to fight for her. So the staff doctor that is on, and this is so funny because this doc was kind of involved in monkey research. So, again... Yeah, it's actually tied to the other story. That's why I said this is quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
And I take the little girl up, and I'm up there. Shift change for the nurses is right around 6 o'clock, so Chantel's going home, and I'm blasting Metallica. I just keep putting the Black Album on constantly. And I basically told everybody, just fucking get out of my way. And the staff doctor who's there comes in the room, and he's like, Jack, enough. You mean you're putting blood products into this kid? You're doing this is just not going to end well. I'm looking at the scan and this and that, and I look at him. And remember, I'm just the chief resident. I basically tell the staff doctor, go fuck yourself. I said, you get out of my operating room. Dude, I could be fired for this. I was like literally 6 months away from being done. Wow. And I told him, just get the fuck out of my room. And all the nurses, like all the other residents, I told everybody else, I said, if you have a fucking problem with this, leave. And guess what? Everybody went like fire ants. Everybody went all in. Dude, when I tell you, I've never had a case in my career that I opened like 50 fucking trays to get different instruments out. Chantel comes back to work the next day, and I'm still operating on the little girl.
Oh, my God.
So guess what? The sun is coming up. Metallica is still on. And I make the decision. I take the final piece of bone out of, her basal ganglion.
Oh, my fuck.
And I'm going now close to 20 hours straight. Don't eat, don't drink, don't even take a break. And Chantel comes back in, and I look at her, and she looks at me. I said, now I want you to go find me the biggest piece of lyophilized dura you can get. And this is a dural replacement because I actually had to cut this all out. When I tell you.
A what replacement? Oh,
it's the dura, the covering of the brain.
Right.
And she goes, what are you going to do with something that big? And I said, this little girl's brain is going to swell so much it's going to look like a basketball. So she had no bone left on that side of her head. So my idea was to leave a big, huge balloon and let her swell into it. At that time, I hit her with more methylene blue than any patient I've ever done in my entire career. The reason why is I was trying to control those swelling. That also comes up in the Rick Rubin podcast.
What year is this?
This is 1998.
For people who are uninitiated, can you explain what methylene blue is? Methylene blue?
Well, let's talk about it in real terms. Real terms is I just talked about it with Nicole Shanahan and Mary Bowden, that she got fired or the Texas Medical Board went after her for ivermectin for COVID. Mm-hmm. Remember the talk that I told you I had with Becker?
Yes.
And he told me to be careful?
Right.
So guess what I told people to use? Hydrochloroquine and methylene blue. You know why?
For COVID?
Yeah. Hydrochloroquine comes from methylene blue, and methylene blue works for COVID. And you would never know that unless you did your homework. So the medical board I didn't have to face what Mary did. See, remember, when you work smarter, or when you know better, you do better, or your patients do better. That was a lesson that I got from Becker. So I hit this girl with the methylene blue. And what the methylene blue does, it improves mitochondrial function so that the brain won't swell. When you have a case like this, the thing that you're really worried about is the brain will swell outside the head.
Yeah.
And it won't end well. And remember, I think she was 15 or 16 years old. You know, her mom had told me that she was getting ready to go to college and this and that. And I'm going, fuck, I'm doing everything I possibly can.
Is there any way at this point to keep someone I know you can keep them alive, but can you keep them cognitively able to get through the day?
I think I'm telling you that story right now.
Okay.
So the little girl goes through surgery. Of course, I take some shit from the staff doctor, but when the staff doctor saw the post-op scans and he's like, fuck, she doesn't have any bone left anywhere in her brain. You got every single fragment out. And this is in the day before we had neural navigation. I did this, bro, by feeling with my fingers. Oh. And when I took it all out, I finished my residency. So I don't know what she does because, you know, after she gets through the acute phase, she goes through rehab. And then for us, she's lost to history. I get a call when I'm in private practice in Tennessee. Her mother calls my office and says, we'd like to send Dr. Kruse a letter, da-da-da. And the office manager at the time her name's Karen Smith. She comes in and says, Jack, can we give him this? I said, yeah, I think I know who this is. She writes me a letter. Her daughter got out of rehab. She's back to walking. She's almost back to talking. I get another letter. I think it was 2 years later. She's in college. I got a letter, I think about 3 years after that, she graduated.
No way.
Mm-hmm. So this is that lesson that I'm trying to teach you. It ain't fucking over until we say it's over. I told you that story with politics, but I'm telling you, that little girl, that happened at the right time in my life. I was an ass kicker when I was a resident, but let me just tell you something. I learned more from that case than probably any case that I've ever done. And when you know something, you go all in. You don't hold back. That's the lesson.